Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of writing Go, specifically writing test in Go. In this video we're going to talk about fuzz testing and what are the benefits and how we can just have fuzz testing. Basically, if you're going to test something in your Go application, you have some like test cases and you're going to go through those test cases and make sure it will just what you expect and what you get back from your function are equal, and if not equal you just throw some errors. So this is just the gist of it, but sometimes it's very difficult to find the edge cases, or you don't really have that much of luxury for the time and thinking about all the edge cases, and you really want to automate the whole process. That's when fuzz testing or fuzzing will come in place. Basically, when you do fuzz testing, it generates a lot of different types of basically inputs, and then it will check your function against all those inputs. It will be lots of inputs that you never think of, or you don't have time to just put all of them in your test cases. So you can see everything in action when we start writing some fuzz testing, but the gist of it is basically it's going to run a lot of different scenarios and find out issues. One thing bear in mind is, for example, if you write an API or any function, this technique could be used by malicious hackers or people who want to attack your system. So why not you run it yourself and find all those edge cases first? So what do I mean by that? You can see all of them in this example. So here I have a package called stringy, and then in the stringy we have a function which is trimming a string. So you give a value of a string and then input. So for that input, for this number, it's going to trim it. For example, if you give hello and then trim 2 letters, then the LO at the end is going to be removed, and just it will keep the first 3. And I've also written some tests here. So I'm going to just open them side by side so you can see exactly what's happening. So on the left side, we have our function, right side, we have our test, and I've just written some normal test cases. So for AA and value of 1, we should see A. If I give A and 0, we should not remove anything. And if the hello and we want to remove 2, we just remove the last 2. And so we're gonna go looping through those test cases and making sure when we call trim strings, we get everything. So I'm gonna just do go run, go test. So I'm already in the package, so I'm gonna run all of these things and everything is good. So assuming if I have like, I don't know, ABC and I want to remove 1, obviously I should get A and B, but let's just have a mistake and see the test as well. There we go. So did not get expected result when trimming 1 characters from ABC. Wanted A, got AB. So that's what I wanted and that's what I expected. So if I make this one AB, actually now it should work. Yes, it does work. But I mean, this is a very simple function. Yes, you can think of a few issues, but maybe at the time of writing this function, I don't have time, or I forget to just think about all the different types of edge cases. Let's run some fuzz testing and find out what can we do. So in order to write fuzz testing, everything would be pretty much the same thing. So we have func, and instead of starting with test for normal testing, or if you want to run benchmark, it's benchmark. Now here you should start with fuzz. And then what do we want to test is trim string. And the argument we're going to pass through, it's pretty much the same thing, but here instead of testing.t or testing.b for benchmark, we're going to have testing.f. And that's how you're going to write fuzz testing. So here it's very simple. We have f, which is a pointer to testing.f. So I'm going to just do this one. And then we also have all those fancy things like error, error, fatal, log, and everything else that skip that we talked in the past. But here what I'm really looking for is fuzz. f.fuzz. So f.fuzz receive a function which is very similar to this normal test, but it also accepts all the arguments in our function as well. So what do I mean is this one. So it's a func, and then t, which is a testing.t, comma, and then literally we're gonna copy and paste everything here. So we're gonna have all of these things. And all we want to do here is to call our function. So we're gonna say trim.string, trim string, and we're gonna pass value and num. Believe it or not, this is all you have to do. Obviously, you can just work on this test, which we will, and introduce more stuff. But let's run it let's run it and get some data. So go test dash fuzz and in the current directory. So the moment I press enter, I am gonna get some errors. That's exactly what I expected. So the error basically, the first thing we're gonna see, so just try to run some tests, and now it get panic. Runtime error, slice bound out of range. So basically it means the range was out of band. So if our string was like, I don't know, 5 characters, then the number here is 100 characters and it didn't work. So we can fix it very quickly. And obviously there is one more thing that I need to explain. If you go to your test, now inside string you have test data, fuzz, trim string, you're gonna get another file. And in the file, literally, it explains what happens. So the string was empty. So the first argument was empty. The integer was 27. So it's bigger than the length of our string, and we got the issue. So now that we know what's the issue, I'm gonna just put this one actually here, so it's much easier. So we should look if the num is bigger than length of string, then we should just really do something about it. Something like that. I'm going to clear this one, run it one more time. Now we get another issue. The issue would be, so I'm going to just put it here as well. The length of string is 0, so it's fine, but the number we're passing is less than 0. So we can just put also another condition here, and if num less than equal, actually less than 0, then let's run it again one more time. Let's see what do we get. Okay, it seems now we don't have any errors. It's not finished yet. It's running a lot of like different types of inputs in the background, but so far we can see we're not going to get any errors. So basically the edge cases for us, if I'm going to just close this too, so we have more. Okay, I'm going to open this one as well. When we were running it, we actually had 2 edge cases. First of all, the number of characters we're going to trim should be always less than the input length, or should be equal to input length. And the second thing is also the number should be bigger than 0. If it's less than 0, we cannot remove, because we just really want to remove something. If it's less than, logically here, we don't want to remove. You can have a different edge cases for yourself or different requirement, but based on what we want, we cannot remove it. So in order to stop it, I'm going to press Ctrl C. I'm going to get out. And even if you want to improve this code base, you can actually think of a few other scenarios. So we can say if the input length is less than or equal to the number, so it means like if you have 10 characters and we want to remove 10 characters, so we're going to return empty. Also, if the input length is 0, means there is nothing to remove, so you want to return also empty string. And then if the number is less than 0, also the same thing. So now this is the most optimized one. And if I run our fuzz testing one more time, and by default it's going to run the test forever and make sure it's just going through a lot of different types of inputs and make sure there is no bug or there is no issue. And if you want to read it, so you just say how much time is passed, how many operation was executed, and then operation per second, and you can see the rest. Okay, if I want to run the test for a specific like time frame, all I have to do, I just need to say go test fuzz. I should do dash fuzz time 10 seconds. So it's going to run the test for 10 seconds. So that is good. And if I want to run it not for the time, actually I want to run it, for example, for 1,000 times, not thousands. Well, here is 10 seconds. If I want to run it for only 1,000 like iteration and 1,000 times, all I have to do, I'm going to just pass 1000x. And as you can see, it just gone through it, even less than a second. It just execute 1,000 and then finish. So this is basically in a nutshell how you're going to write fuzz test, how you're going to execute it, and what is the expectation from here. Remember, if I just want to get rid of this one very quickly, and let's say I'm going to run the fuzz test one more time, we're going to get some errors. So next time here, because there's error, remember that if you do go test, because previously it was failed, you're actually going to run the fuzz test. But if everything pass, it doesn't know anything about it and it doesn't care. So let me just actually remove this bit so we don't have it. I'm going to run go test. So our test pass, so it doesn't care about the fuzz test. Now I'm going to run the fuzz test. This time if I do go test, it actually care because it knows it passed and it just look for the fuzz data, and it actually going to fail the test and run those tests with those inputs. So let's bring this one back in. Okay, I'm gonna bring this one in and run the test actually for. So we're gonna run this one for 5 seconds. But there are more things that we can do here as well. So we have some scenarios, as you know, so I can just copy all of them. If there is a specific case that you want to run, it's exactly the same thing as what we do here. So I'm going to copy this bit, come to our fuzz testing, paste it here. Okay, good. Basically we have some values, and then we are trimming something, and there's expectation. So if I want to add these edge cases, or if they are my edge cases and I want to add them to the fuzz test, all I have to do here is to say f.add. Here the order is very important because our trim string receive a string and then receive a num or integer, then we need to pass the same thing. So we're going to think about it, and it's s.value, which is the value that we want, and also the second thing would be s dot here is actually trim. If you want to add something to your fuzz test, that's how you're going to add it. You can write it line by line, or if you can just create, for example, a slice of a struct and then do what we have done. So in this case we also don't need this bit. And now if I run my test one more time, it's also going to consider all of these things as well. So I'm going to run it one more time, and we're going to get pretty much the same result because they are very simple scenarios. Okay, cool. So by now you know how to run fuzz tests as well, and you can just check for all those edge cases in your system. I think this is pretty much the end of writing fuzz tests and how you really going to execute it. And to be honest, there is really nothing more to talk about. So if you're in this stage of the video, please don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. And if you're not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna put a lot of interesting content in the channel soon. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.